Hi everyone, Robin here. Thanks for joining me today on the Poppystamps blog. My card for you today is a patriotic card. When I saw Poppystamps spring release selection, I picked these two dies to create this card. The dies I'm using today are the Big Star Border Layer and the Little Star Border Layer dies, along with the stitched Main Street tags. My sentiment was created using stamps from the Sending Love stamp set. I created my star strip using pieces of scrap paper. I made sure they were oversized so I would have room to adjust on my final card. These strips are approximately 3 by 5 3/4. After I did the red and the blue, I felt there wasn't enough contrast. So where the blue is, I decided to cut a strip out of white. And I really preferred the amount of contrast I got between the red, the white, and the blue. As you can see, the star dies line up perfectly with each other. And once I added the blue to the back, I had the effect I wanted. So I'm applying some tape runner on the back side of the white star strip, and then I'll be doing the same with the red strip. And this is the reason I like making things a little bit oversized in the beginning, so I can adjust accordingly. So here I'm just squaring up a few of the edges. Still haven't decided in my mind where I'm going with this strip, but that's kind of how most of our projects start, is you have a thought and kind of progresses from there. My card base today will be a side folding 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 vertical card. Here I'm adding a nice crease to my card base with my Teflon bone folder. I really like the Teflon bone folders because they don't leave shiny marks on your cardstock. I decided I needed a little something else on the front of my card, so I dug out one of my star embossing folders, cut a panel to fit the front of my card, and added it to my card base with some liquid glue. I decided the final width on my star strip should be 1 1/2 inches. I then added 2 narrow strips of foam to the back of my star panel. This is to create a channel for me to put some baker's twine on my card. I've had this baker's twine for quite a while. I rarely use it, but I've always liked this red, white, and blue one. And it's called a chunky baker's twine. I think I picked it up on Etsy. Anyway, after I removed the backer strips on my foam, I added to my card. I then needed to position the final knot on my baker's twine. So I grabbed my 2 tags I would be using for the sentiment, decided the approximate placement, added some glue to the baker's twine, and pulled it taut, and added just the corner of my acrylic block to allow it to dry. While it was drying, I used some Wendy Becky archival ink. The color I'm using is called Red Geranium, and it's just a perfect red for this card. My blue sentiment strip is cut at 1/4 inch, and I have used some anti-static powder before applying my sentiment with some Versamark ink. Here I'm applying some Brutus Monroe Alabaster Ultra White embossing powder, and then finished with my heat gun. To create the fishtail on my strip, I trimmed off the excess cardstock and then put just a little snip in the center and then angled in from each corner. I then applied some liquid glue to the back of my strip and added it to my tag front. Once dry, I simply turn my tag over, use my scissors, and trimmed it flush with the edge of the tag. I added some liquid glue to the back of my white tag and applied it to the front of the blue tag. Off camera, I created a double loop bow from my baker's twine, added it to the front of the tag with some glue, and used the corner of my acrylic block again and allowed to dry. Once my tag was dry, I added 2 foam squares to the bottom of my tag and a nice squirt of glue to the top, and added to my card, covering the knot on the front. Once in position, I added my acrylic block and allowed to dry. To finish my card, I'm using one of the stars from my previous die cut, added a little glue to the back, and added to my tag. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial today using a few of the new dies from Poppystamps Spring Release. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.